Here is a great deep detailed summary of Jalaluddin Firoz's rule in the simplest and clearest English, written as if teaching someone with no background in history. Detailed summary of Jalaluddin Firoz's rule. Who was Jalaluddin Firoz? Jalaluddin Firoz was the first ruler of the Khalji dynasty, starting in 1290 CE. Background: before becoming king, he was a famous general, army leader, known for his bravery and military skills. What kind of king was he? Unlike previous kings, especially Balban, who ruled through fear, strictness and war, Jalaluddin chose a completely different path. He ruled with kindness, forgiveness and humility. This way of ruling is called benevolent despotism, which means the king has total power for the good of the people. How did he deal with enemies inside his court? When he became king, many officers in the court still supported the old king Balban. Instead of removing them or punishing them, Jalaluddin allowed them to stay in their powerful positions. He wanted to bring peace and harmony, not fight with his own people. This helped reduce tension, built trust, and unified the court. How did he show his humility? Jalaluddin refused to sit on the old royal throne used by King Balban. He said, "I once stood in front of that throne as a servant. I will not sit on it now." Instead, he ordered a new throne to be made for himself. This was a powerful message. Even though he was the king now, he respected the past and wanted to stay humble. But historians believe this wasn't natural modesty. It was a clever political move to win hearts and make people feel safe. Why didn't he attack Hindu rulers? Earlier rulers often fought wars against Hindu kings to expand their territory. Jalaluddin did not do this. He believed the kingdom needed peace, not expansion. At the time, the government of Delhi was in a very poor condition because the two rulers before him, Kaikobad and Kayamaz, had only ruled for 3 years and had damaged the system. So Jalaluddin focused on repairing the administration, rebuilding law and order, improving stability inside the kingdom. He believed internal strength was more important than external conquest. Was he really weak? What about the Mongols? Some people said, he avoids war, he must be weak. But this is completely false. Jalaluddin faced the Mongols, who were fierce warriors from Central Asia and very dangerous. He defeated them badly when they attacked from the northwestern side. After their defeat, the Mongols stopped fighting, settled down in Delhi, lived peacefully as citizens. This proved he was not a coward. He was wise. He used war only when necessary. What can we learn from him? Jalaluddin Firoz Khalji was a smart, gentle, and practical ruler. He proved that a ruler doesn't always need to be cruel or violent. Power can be used to bring peace, not just to win wars. Humility and kindness are powerful tools in politics. He focused on healing a broken kingdom, making friends instead of enemies, using war only when truly needed. Final summary table aspect details. Dynasty, first ruler of the Khalji dynasty. Background, strong general with military skills, ruling style kind, humble and peaceful. Dealt with enemies, forgave old officials and kept them in power. Throne issue, refused old throne, made a new one, showed respect and humility. Hindu chiefs, did not attack them, wanted peace and stability. Government focus, fixed damaged administration. Mongol attack, crushed the Mongols, proved strength. Showed that rulers can lead with peace, not just fear. Let me know if you'd like a comic strip, a timeline, a mind map, or a question-answer worksheet based on this. I'm happy to create it for you in the simplest way ever. Here is a great and deeply detailed summary of the passage, written in the simplest and clearest English, just like a perfect school summary for someone with no prior knowledge. It captures all the important ideas clearly and gently. great detailed summary of Jalaluddin Firoz's rule and character. Jalaluddin Firoz Khalji was not considered a very famous or extraordinary king in terms of achievements. His rule did not include big wars, large expansions, or great monuments. But still, his time as Sultan was very important in one unique way. He was the first king in the Delhi Sultanate who tried to unite different groups of Muslims in his kingdom. At that time, the Muslim population included Turkish Muslims, foreign rulers and nobles, non-Turkish Muslims, like Afghans, and Indian Muslims, people who became Muslim in India. These groups were often in conflict or competition. Jalaluddin tried to create peace among them and listen to all sides. He also tried to be gentle with the general public, and for the first time, a sultan seemed to care about public opinion, what the people thought and felt. However, some historians criticized him. They believed he was too kind, too forgiving, and not strict enough. They said if he had ruled longer, his soft nature might have weakened the kingdom. They also felt he was unfit to be king in such a tough and dangerous time. But this view is not entirely true. Jalaluddin was not only kind and soft, he could be very strict and harsh when needed. He was not tolerant of Hinduism, just like the sultans before him. He destroyed Hindu temples and idols in a place called Chain, showing that he followed the usual religious policies of the time. He could even go as far as killing a respected Muslim saint if he believed that it was necessary for the safety and good of the kingdom. This proves that he was not weak, and he did take strong actions when he felt it was needed. The problem is that our main historical source for his rule is Barani, a court historian. Barani did not like Jalaluddin or any of the Khalji kings. He wrote mostly negative things about him and did not describe his good qualities. Because of Barani's bias, people often get a one-sided view of Jalaluddin. In truth, Jalaluddin was trying to be a balanced and fair ruler. He wanted to keep peace between different groups and not take sides. But in politics, moderate and fair rulers are often disliked by strong groups because they don't give special treatment to any one side. Yes, he sometimes showed mercy. For example, he forgave thieves by making them promise not to steal again. But overall, he was a ruler who understood when to be kind and when to be strict. He was not weak, but wise, using the right approach based on the situation. Final summary in bullet points. Jalaluddin's rule was not full of great events, but it was peaceful and thoughtful. He was the first sultan to try to unite different Muslim groups, Turkish, non-Turkish, Indian. Some historians said he was too gentle and unfit for that era, but that is not fully true. He destroyed Hindu temples, just like earlier rulers. He was not tolerant of Hinduism. He could be very firm, even punishing saints if he thought it was good for the kingdom. Barani, the main historian, did not like him and only wrote negative stories. Jalaluddin tried to be a fair and balanced ruler, which made him unpopular among powerful groups. He sometimes forgave wrongdoers, like thieves, but usually made smart decisions based on what was needed. Overall, he was not too mild, but moderate and careful, ruling with a desire for peace and balance. Let me know if you'd like this turned into a comic strip, diagram, mind map, or film sheet. Absolutely. Let's now go deeper into every detail of Alauddin's early career, word by word, line by line, in the most simple and clear way, like you are hearing the story for the first time ever. The early life and rise of Alauddin Khalji, full deep explanation in easiest English. Family and relations. Alauddin was a nephew and son-in-law of Jalaluddin Firoz. Let's break this. Alauddin was a young man from a royal family, was the king of Delhi at that time. A nephew means Alauddin's mother or father was Jalaluddin's sibling. A son-in-law means he married the daughter of Jalaluddin. So Alauddin was both family by blood and family by marriage to the king. Think of it like this. If you marry your uncle's daughter, the uncle becomes your father-in-law as well as your uncle. His personality and talents. He was a very active and spirited soldier and was gifted with a fund of common sense and realism. Active and spirited equals full of energy and courage. He fought with strength and bravery. Gifted, he had natural talent. Common sense, he understood everyday problems well. Realism equals he looked at the world as it really is, not like a dreamer. Alauddin was not just brave, he was also very smart and practical. He used his brain and his sword. Example, if most people were running into a fire to grab gold, Alauddin would ask, what if we wait until the fire is out? That's realism and common sense.
People saw greatness in him.
He was known to be ambitious and must have given early promise of future greatness. Ambitious, he wanted to achieve big things, maybe become a king. Early promise, even as a young man, people could see he would do something great. Just like how you can tell a smart child might become a great scientist one day, people could tell Alauddin would rise. Jalaluddin becomes Sultan. On his uncle's accession in 1290, accession, the moment Jalaluddin became king, Sultan of Delhi, the year was 1290 CE. So, in 1290, Jalaluddin became the new ruler of Delhi. Alauddin gets his first important job. He was promoted to the office of Amiri Tuzak. Promoted is given a higher, more important job. Amiri Tuzak, the officer who takes care of royal events, arrangements and protocol, like the king's personal event manager. Alauddin started working in the royal palace. He was young, but the king gave him a trusted job. Governor of Karamanipur, and was shortly after appointed governor of Karamanipur near Allahabad. A governor is like the king's manager for a region. Karamanipur was a rich, important area near Allahabad in modern-day Uttar Pradesh, India. Alauddin now had real power. He ruled a big province under the king. People start supporting Alauddin. The followers of Malik Chaju flocked round him. Malik's followers flocked round him. Many people who supported Chaju now came to support Alauddin. His team of supporters was growing. Young Khalji soldiers recognized him as the man of the hour. These were young, ambitious soldiers from his Khalji tribe.
Man of the hour!
The best leader at that time. These soldiers believed Alauddin could lead them to riches and power. They believed he could fight for the throne and reward them. These soldiers wanted a new king. They thought Alauddin would become the new sultan. They hoped he would gold, land and high posts. Alauddin's team wanted him to become king and share the success. Why were people unhappy with Jalaluddin? They were dissatisfied with the lenient policy of the aged king, Jalaluddin. Dissatisfied equals not happy. Lenient policy, king was too soft, too kind, the king was too soft, too kind to enemy king. Jalaluddin was old and not strong like before. These people wanted a stronger king, that's why they pushed Alauddin to take over.
But Alauddin waited!
But Alauddin was shrewd enough not to precipitate action. Shrewd equals very clever and careful. Not to precipitate action, he did not act too fast or without planning. He didn't want to get caught or make mistakes. He was patient and smart. He waited to strike only at a favourable opportunity. He waited for the perfect time to make his move when the king would not suspect anything. Alauddin was like a hunter waiting quietly in the bushes. First, he built his power. He increased his followers and gathered loyal and able men. He wanted only brave, smart and trustworthy people in his team. Before any big action, he built a strong, secret army. He kept the king happy through his brother at court. Alauddin's brother worked in the royal palace. His brother made sure the king thought Alauddin was loyal. So the king trusted Alauddin while Alauddin was planning behind the scenes. He asked to go on a war expedition. He got the Sultan's permission to lead an expedition to Malwa. Expedition equals a journey to fight and take over land. Malwa equals a rich kingdom in central India. Alauddin told the king, "Let me go conquer new land for you." The attack on Malwa year 1292. In 1292, he captured Bilsa and brought back huge plunder. He attacked the town of Bilsa. He brought back a lot of gold, money and valuables called plunder. It was a huge success. He sent a part of it to the Sultan, who rewarded him. Ala-ud-Din sent some treasure to the king to show loyalty. The king was very happy and gave him another province, Awad, to rule. Now, Ala-ud-Din ruled 2 provinces, Kara and Awad. Final understanding? What happened overall? Let's sum it up in very easy points. 1. Ala-ud-Din was smart, brave and related to the king. 2. The king gave him a governor job in Kara. 3. Many young soldiers started to support him. 4. People were unhappy with the king being too soft. 5. They pushed Ala-ud-Din to try to become king. 6. Ala-ud-Din was clever and waited for the perfect time. 7. He built a strong team in secret. 8. He pretended to be loyal to the king. 9. He attacked Malwa, got lots of gold. He gave some gold to the king and was given more power. By doing all this slowly and smartly, Ala-ud-Din got stronger and stronger, ready to one day take the throne. Would you like a comic strip, mind map, or a storyboard of this next? Of course. Here's a great, deep and detailed summary of Ala-ud-Din Khalji's secret campaign against Devagiri, written in the simplest, clearest way, so you can understand everything completely, even if you're totally new to this topic. Deep and detailed summary in simplest words. 1. Victory in Malwa gave Ala-ud-Din confidence. Ala-ud-Din Khalji had recently attacked and won a place called Malwa. From this victory, he got a lot of treasure, gold, silver, valuable items. This success made him very excited and hungry for more. He wanted to attack more places, especially rich kingdoms in the south. 2. He heard about Devagiri, a rich kingdom in the south. While in Bilsa, Ala-ud-Din heard stories from locals. They said that Devagiri, a kingdom in South India, was extremely rich. This news made him dream of going south and raiding Devagiri. He imagined taking its gold, wealth and glory for himself. 3. He kept his plan secret, even from the king, his uncle. Ala-ud-Din was smart. He knew he couldn't tell his uncle, Sultan Jalaluddin, what he was really planning. So he asked for more soldiers, saying he needed them for normal duty. His uncle allowed it, thinking everything was fine. But Ala-ud-Din had a secret plan to attack Devagiri. He started the journey with a lie to fool people. In the year 1294, Ala-ud-Din began his journey to the south. He took 8,000 horsemen, soldiers on horseback, a fast and strong army. But along the way he told a clever lie. I am a noble from Delhi who has run away. I'm going to Rajamundry in Telangana to look for work. Because of this lie, no one stopped him. They thought he was just a sad man looking for shelter. His trick worked. No one suspected anything. Since people thought Ala-ud-Din was harmless, they didn't block his path. His army moved smoothly through villages and regions. No king's guards or local rulers stopped him. He reached the border of Devagiri without any problems. 6. He surprised the king of Devagiri. Devagiri was ruled by King Ramachandra Deva of the Yadava dynasty. Ala-ud-Din's army suddenly appeared at the northern border of Devagiri. The king was completely shocked. He had no idea that an army was coming. He was unprepared for war.
7.
The king's army was not in the kingdom. Most of Ramachandra's soldiers were not there. They had gone with his son, Shankar Deva, on a pilgrimage, a religious trip. So the king had only a small number of soldiers left in the capital. 8. The king tried to fight but lost. The king quickly gathered about 2,000 to 3,000 soldiers to stop Ala-ud-Din. He met Ala-ud-Din at a place called Lasura, only 12 miles from Devagiri, but Ala-ud-Din's army was much bigger and stronger, 8,000 horsemen. The king lost the battle badly. 9. The king ran into his fort. After losing the battle, King Ramachandra Deva escaped into his fort, a big, strong castle. He locked himself inside, hoping to stay safe from Alauddin's army. Alauddin had now won outside the fort, and the city was in his control. In short, final summary. Alauddin wanted more wealth after winning in Malwa. He secretly planned to attack Devagiri, a rich kingdom in the south. He fooled everyone by pretending to be a poor noble looking for work. He reached Devagiri without trouble, surprising the king. The king didn't have enough soldiers and lost the battle. He ran into his fort to hide, and Alauddin took control of the area around it. Would you like me to now explain what happened next, or give you a comic strip or visual map of this event? Absolutely. Here's a great, deep, detailed summary of this important event from Alauddin Khalji's life, written in the most simple, clear, and complete way possible, so you understand every event, action, and reason like a perfect story. Alauddin Khalji's final victory over Devagiri, deep and detailed summary, Singlish. Background. Alauddin Khalji had already attacked Devagiri and defeated its ruler,
King Ramachandra
Deva. The king was forced to make peace by giving Alauddin gold and valuables. But before Alauddin could return home, unexpected trouble began again. Main events of the final campaign. 1. Alauddin besieges the fort again. After winning outside, Alauddin surrounded the king's fort, castle. This is called a siege. No one could go in or out of the fort. He spread a rumor lie saying, "These are just a few soldiers. A huge army of 20,000 horsemen is coming from Delhi to join me." Why? He wanted to scare the king into giving up without more fighting. 2. The king surrenders peacefully. King Ramachandra got scared after hearing about the Delhi army. He thought, "I can't fight such a huge force." So he offered peace and gave Alauddin 1,400 pounds of gold, lots of pearls, other precious things. Result, Alauddin agreed and started preparing to leave with the treasure. 3. Shankardeva, king's son, returns from pilgrimage. At this moment, the king's son, Shankardeva, came back from a religious trip. The king warned him not to attack Alauddin, but Shankar disobeyed his father and attacked anyway, wanting to fight back. Result, the peace was broken and a new fight began. 4. Alauddin uses strategy and divides his army. Alauddin was smart. He split his army into 2 parts. 1. One part stayed near the fort to stop the king from helping his son. 2. The other part went with Alauddin to fight Shankar's army. Why? So he could fight the prince without worrying about the king joining in. 5. Alauddin nearly loses, but is saved just in time. Shankardeva was winning at first. Alauddin was almost defeated, but then the second group of his army, led by Malik Nasrat, came to help. Important point, this surprise arrival changed everything. 6. Shankardeva gets scared and loses. As some more enemy soldiers arrive, he thought, that must be the Delhi army of 20,000 that Alauddin talked about. He got nervous and afraid. His confidence broke, and he was defeated. Lesson: Alauddin's earlier lie worked again to break the enemy's will. 7. Alauddin attacks the fort again. After beating the prince, Alauddin turned back to siege the fort one more time. King Ramachandra was still hiding inside with his people. This time, Alauddin wanted even more, not just treasure. 8. The fort's big mistake. Salt instead of grain. The soldiers in the fort needed food to survive, but the sacks they stored had salt, not grain. They could not cook or eat the salt. There was no food. Result: the king's army became weak and hopeless. 9. King Ramachandra surrenders again. With no food, no strength, and surrounded by Alauddin's army, the king gave up again. He asked for peace once more. 10. Alauddin demands much harsher terms. This time Alauddin was not knight-kind like before. He made very strict demands. The king had to give away one province, Ilishpur. He also had to pay an enormous fine indemnity. 11. The final treasure taken by Alauddin. Alauddin took item amount gold, £17,250, pearls, £200, other gems, £58, silver, £28,250, silk cloths, 1,000 pieces. This was one of the largest war ransoms ever collected in Indian history. 12. Alauddin returns to Kara with gold, silver, jewels, silk and a new province, Ilishpur. Alauddin returned to Kara, the area he ruled. He now had wealth, power, a strong army, and fame across India. Big picture, this victory made Alauddin very powerful, and it helped him prepare for his next goal, becoming Sultan of Delhi. Final simple summary. Event 1. Alauddin surrounds Devagiri fort and lies about a giant army from Delhi. 2. The king gets scared and gives gold and treasure to make peace. The king's son returns and attacks Alauddin against his father's advice. Alauddin splits his army and nearly loses but gets help just in time. 5. Shankardeva gets scared thinking the Delhi army has arrived and loses. Alauddin attacks the fort again, this time harder. 7. The fort salt instead of food, a big mistake. 8. The king surrenders again. 9. Alauddin now demands land and a huge treasure. 10. He goes back to Kara, now rich and respected. Would you like a comic strip map of the campaign or timeline animation of this part 2? Here is a great, deep, detailed summary of this passage about Alauddin Khalji's southern expedition and how it led to his rise as Sultan, in the simplest English possible. Detailed summary. Alauddin's southern success and rise to power. 1. First Turkish campaign in South India. Alauddin Khalji's military journey to Devagiri in the south was the first time a Turkish commander had attacked this far into southern India. It was a huge risk because the journey was very long, hundreds of miles from his base at Kara near Allahabad. The area was totally unknown to him. The local people were not friendly. They were ready to fight. 2. Success in a hard mission. Despite all these challenges, Alauddin won. His success showed that he was not just lucky, he was a great soldier, very brave and bold, daring, fast and confident in action, excellent at planning and organizing, quick at solving problems, even in difficult conditions, resourceful. 3. Success made him ambitious. His victory in Devagiri made Alauddin overconfident. He started to think, if I can do this, why can't I be the king of Delhi? He now wanted the throne. He aspired to become Sultan. 4. A support from his followers. His own soldiers and supporters began pushing him to act. They told him he deserved to become king. This increased his ambition and made him ready to take bold steps. Personal and family problems. Alauddin's wife was the daughter of the current Sultan, Jalaluddin. Their relationship was not good. They were on bad terms. His wife and her mother, the Queen, were always speaking against him at the royal court. They also made his personal life unhappy and stressful.
6.
His decision to take power. These domestic family problems, along with his military success, pushed him to make a decision quickly. He did not want to wait anymore. He wanted to become king soon. 7. Murder of the Sultan and seizure of the throne. Alauddin tricked his uncle, Sultan Jalaluddin, by inviting him in a friendly way to meet at Karamanakpur. Then on July 19, 1296, he had him murdered. Right after that, Alauddin declared himself the new Sultan of Delhi. Final summary table. Point. Explanation. First southern campaign. Alauddin led the first Turkish attack into southern India, Devagiri. Difficult journey. It was far from his home in unknown and hostile lands. Victory. He succeeded using bravery, planning, and clever thinking. Success made him want the throne of Delhi. Encouragement. His friends and soldiers pushed him to act. Family issues. His wife and mother-in-law were against him and troubled him at home. Final decision. These reasons pushed him to act quickly. Murder and rise. Tricked and killed his uncle Sultan and made himself king. Let me know if you'd like this summary as a comic strip, timeline, or illustrated chart. Here is the great, deepest and most detailed summary of Alauddin Khalji's early difficulties after becoming king, written in the most simple and clear English, like a story, step by step. Deepest detailed summary, Alauddin Khalji's early difficulties after seizing power. 1. Alauddin became sultan by killing his uncle. Alauddin Khalji became king in 1296, but not in the right way. He murdered his uncle, Sultan Jalaluddin Firoz, who had been his biggest supporter, his father-in-law, and the man who trusted him completely. He got the throne through violence and betrayal, not through law or inheritance. This act shocked the empire. Many saw him as a killer, not a rightful ruler. 2. He thought ruling would be easy, but it was painful. Alauddin thought that once he became king, everything would be smooth and peaceful, like sitting on a bed of roses. But it turned out to be very hard, like lying on a bed of thorns. Many problems and enemies surrounded him. 3. People hated him for killing the old sultan. Good, honest and loyal people, called right-thinking people, despised him. They believed what he did was wrong, sinful and unjust. They couldn't respect a man who killed his own uncle and king. 4. The Jalali nobles wanted revenge. The nobles, powerful officers who had served Sultan Jalaluddin, were called Jalali nobles. They were loyal to their old master and wanted justice. They were now enemies of Alauddin because he had murdered their patron, support leader. They did not accept him as king. 5. Ahmad Chap, the most dangerous rival general, one of Jalaluddin's strongest and bravest commanders, was Ahmad Chap. He was fearless in battle, respected by everyone, a strong supporter of the legitimate throne, legal rulers only. Ahmad Chap became a major threat to Alauddin's rule. Ahmad Chap, symbol of resistance to Alauddin's illegal power. 6. Alauddin was not yet in Delhi, the real capital. Although Alauddin had taken power, he was still in Kara, far from Delhi. Delhi was the official capital of India at that time. According to tradition, the real sultan was the one who sat on the throne in Delhi. So many people said, how can Alauddin be the real king if he's not even in Delhi?
7.
The widowed queen crowned her own son. After her husband Jalaluddin was killed, the Queen Malki Jahan acted quickly. She was worried that Alauddin would take over Delhi, so she made her own son, Qadr Khan, the new sultan. She gave him the royal title Rukn-ud-Din Ibrahim. Now, there was a new king sitting in Delhi, someone who could become a powerful rival. Ibrahim was young, but if he got support, he could defeat Alauddin. 8. Hindu rulers were ready to rebel. In different parts of India, Hindu kings and chiefs were unhappy under Turkish Muslim rule. They had accepted it earlier, but only out of fear. Now that there was confusion and fighting over the throne, they saw a chance to break free. These Hindu chiefs were angry and they wanted independence. Alauddin had to worry about rebellions from inside the country too. 9. Mongol attacks from the northwest. At the same time, an external threat appeared. The Mongols. The Mongols were deadly warriors from Central Asia. They were now attacking the borders of empire in the northwest. They wanted to invade Delhi and capture it. So Alauddin's kingdom was under attack from outside, Mongols, and from inside, rebels, rival nobles, new sultan. 10. A very dangerous situation. But Alauddin stayed strong. The problems were huge. Hated by many nobles, Delhi under another sultan, loyal soldiers like Ahmad Chap opposing him, Hindu rulers ready to revolt, Mongols attacking from outside, Most people in his place would have panicked or given up. But Alauddin did not quit. He showed courage, strength, and boldness, and prepared to fight back.
Final full summary table. Key difficulty.
Explanation? 1. Killed his uncle. He got the throne by murdering Jalaluddin, causing hatred. 2. Not accepted. People didn't see him as the rightful or honest ruler. Jalali nobles, powerful nobles loyal to Jalal, were now against him. 4. Ahmad Chap, a brave general who led resistance against Alauddin. 5. Not in Delhi. He was not on the actual throne in the capital. Queen's move. The queen crowned her son Ibrahim as a rival king. 7. Hindu unrest. Hindu chiefs wanted to use the chaos to rebel. 8. Mongol threat. Mongols were attacking from the northwest borders. 9. Terrible situation. Any weak leader would have lost hope. Alauddin's will, but he stayed brave, calm, and ready to fight for the throne. Would you like this entire summary in a comic strip line or drama-style script? Next. Here is the great, deep, and detailed summary of the topic. Occupation of Delhi by Alauddin Khalji, written in the simplest English, yet with complete details, so anyone, even with no background, can understand fully. Great, deep, detailed summary. Alauddin Khalji's occupation of Delhi, 1296. Background. Alauddin Khalji killed his uncle and king, Jalaluddin Firoz, to get the throne, but he was not yet the official ruler. The capital of India at that time was Delhi, and unless someone ruled from Delhi, he was not seen as the real sultan. The big problems. Alauddin had many serious challenges. 1. He was hated because he murdered the old king, who was kind and well-loved. 2. The queen of Jalaluddin had already made her younger son, Ibrahim, the new sultan of Delhi. 3. The older son, Khalji Khan, was angry because his younger brother was made king. 4. The supporters of Jalaluddin, called Jalali nobles, were divided. Some stayed with Ibrahim in Delhi. Others went to Khalji Khan in Multan. 5. Alauddin also faced threats from Hindu kings who wanted to break away from Turkish rule, the powerful Mongols attacking from the northwest. Alauddin's bold decision. At first, Alauddin felt scared and thought about running away to Bengal, but then he changed his mind and decided, I will attack Delhi now without delay. Smart use of information. He heard that Khalji and Ibrahim were fighting about who should be king. This made Alauddin feel confident because his enemies were now divided. Winning people with wealth. On his way to Delhi, Alauddin gave away a lot of gold, silver, and treasure he had earlier looted from the south, Devagiri and other Dakin areas. People were happy to receive money, and many joined him. His army became very, very big, about 60,000 soldiers on horseback, about 60,000 soldiers on foot. Facing Ibrahim, when Ibrahim, the new young sultan in Delhi, heard that Alauddin was coming, he came out of Delhi with his own army. They both met at a place called Badaun, but something unexpected happened. No war needed. Soldiers changed sides. Ibrahim's soldiers saw how strong and popular Alauddin was. Most of them left Ibrahim and joined Alauddin without any war. Alauddin won without fighting. Ibrahim runs away. Ibrahim had no soldiers left. He ran away to Multan with his mother and some loyal followers. He wanted to take shelter with his brother Khalji Khan. Alauddin enters Delhi as king. Alauddin entered Delhi as a victor. On October 3rd, 1296, he was officially crowned as sultan. The coronation took place at the Red Palace, which had belonged to an earlier ruler named Balban. Why this was so important. This was a turning point. Alauddin now ruled from Delhi, the real capital. He was accepted by the people and nobles as the true king. Even though he had started as a murderer and outsider, he became one of India's most powerful rulers. Quick review table. Event. What happened? 1. Ala-ud-Din decided to attack Delhi bravely. 2. His enemies, Arkali and Ibrahim, were divided. 3. He gave away Dakin treasure to win support. 4. His army became very big, 60k horsemen, 60k footmen. 5. Ibrahim came to fight at Badaun. 6. Ibrahim's soldiers deserted and joined Ala-ud-Din. 7. Ibrahim fled to Multan with his mother. 8. Ala-ud-Din entered Delhi. 9. He was crowned king on October 13, 1296. Would you like a comic strip, mind map, or a play script version of this next? Here is a great, deep and detailed summary of the passage you shared, written in the simplest English, yet with all the key points explained clearly so you understand both the actions and the reasons behind them. Ala-ud-Din Khalji's first actions after becoming Sultan. Deep, simple, detailed summary. 1. Ala-ud-Din wanted to win the people's hearts. After becoming Sultan by murdering his uncle, Jalaluddin, Ala-ud-Din knew people, hated him for his crime, thought he was a betrayer and ungrateful, so his first goal was make people forget my crime and accept me as their king. 2. He used money to win people's support. He had brought huge amounts of treasure, gold, silver, pearls from his southern campaign in Devagiri. He gave away that money freely to common people on his way to Delhi. At every stop, he set up a big machine, ballista, to launch coins into the crowd. This made people cheer for him, not fear him. He kept throwing coins even in Delhi for several days. As a result, people started calling him generous and forgot he was a murderer. 3. He turned enemies into supporters. Because of his lavish gifts, common people were happy. Nobles and officers who had supported Jalaluddin also joined Ala-ud-Din. They chose gold over loyalty to the past king. Soon, Ala-ud-Din had the support of the army and powerful men. 4. He built a new army from adventurers. New soldiers, called adventurers, came to him. These were men who had no strong loyalty, but they were attracted by gold and rewards. Ala-ud-Din now had an army that fully supported him, not because of bloodline, but because of money and opportunity.
5.
He went after his last big threats, Jalal-ud-Din's family. Jalal-ud-Din had 2 sons, Arkali Khan, the elder, Ibrahim, the younger, briefly declared Sultan by the Queen. They were in Multan with their mother, Malka-i-Jahan, the Queen widow. Ala-ud-Din sent a huge army of 40,000 men, led by Ulugh Khan, his brother, and Hijabr-ud-Din, his loyal commander. Their job was clear: defeat or capture Jalal-ud-Din's family. No one should challenge Ala-ud-Din again. 6. Multan was captured easily, no fight. When the army reached Multan, there was no resistance. The city surrendered peacefully. Arkali, Ibrahim and their mother were all captured alive. 7. He removed all rivals with harsh punishment. Blinded Arkali Khan, Ibrahim, Ahmad Chap, a top loyal general of Jalaluddin, even Ulugh Khan, who was married to Jalaluddin's daughter, his own relative. Blinding meant they could never rule or lead again. He also put the Queen Malki-Jahan in prison. By doing this, he wiped out the entire old royal family from power. 8. Now, Ala-ud-Din's throne was safe and secure. After all this, no one from Jalaluddin's family was left to claim the throne. People were happy with his gifts. His new army was loyal to him. The nobles supported him again. So now Ala-ud-Din was the undisputed ruler of Delhi, sitting firmly on the throne. He had used gold to win love and power to remove threats. Summary table. Step. What happened? Why it mattered. 1. Ala-ud-Din knew people hated him. He had murdered the old king. 2. He gave away gold coins to win love and support. 3. People forgot his crime. They focused on his generosity. 4. Nobles and officers joined him. They wanted wealth and safety. 5. He built a loyal army of new fighters. Adventurers came for rewards, sent army to Multan to capture old king's family. 7 Multan surrendered peacefully, no battle was needed. 8 He blinded his rivals so they could never take the throne. 9 Jailed the old queen. To stop further plotting, his throne was safe, no one left to challenge him. If you'd like, I can now give you a comic strip, visual mind map, concept map of a play script, dialogue version of events. Just say which one you'd prefer. Here is a great, clear and deep passage in the simplest possible English with all the gears explained. Summary: Alauddin's cruel punishment of the traitors who, after becoming Sultan, king, Alauddin Khalji took a surprising and harsh step. He punished the same nobles and officers who had helped him become king. These people had earlier supported Prince Ibrahim, Jalaluddin's son, but then switched sides and joined Alauddin because he gave them money and rewards. Why did Alauddin punish them? He believed if these people could pay their old master for money, they might betray me in the future too. So to protect his rule, he decided to remove them. What did he do to them? Some were killed, some were blinded so they couldn't lead anyone again. Others were put in prison. Even their wives and children had their homes and property taken away. Their families became homeless and had to beg for food. Alauddin's harsh rule. Alauddin followed this belief. Use traitors when needed, then destroy them because they can't be trusted. This shows he was smart, but also very cruel and unforgiving. Final thought. Alauddin used these men to gain the throne, but once he became powerful, he removed them so they would never threaten him later. Would you like a comic strip, drama scene, or mind map of this next? Here is a great, deep and detailed summary of Alauddin Khalji's theory of kingship in the simplest and clearest language possible, perfect for someone with no background knowledge. Deep, detailed summary of Alauddin Khalji's theory of kingship. As soon as Alauddin Khalji firmly took the throne, he formed a very powerful and unique idea about what kind of king sultan he wanted to be. This idea is called his theory of kingship, his personal way of ruling and controlling the empire. Let's break it down clearly. 1. Inspired by Balban's model of kingship, Alauddin followed the example of Balban, a previous strong sultan. Balban believed in a majestic, commanding image of the king, and that the king ruled as God's representative on earth. Alauddin brought back this idea and made it even stricter. He believed the sultan had special wisdom from God. Alauddin truly believed that he was wiser than all others. He thought God gave the sultan extra intelligence to rule, so he believed his will, what he wanted, should automatically become law. In his mind, I don't need advice, I already know what's best. He believed in full control. Kingship knows no kingship. This phrase means only one king can exist. No one else should behave like a ruler. He believed everyone else in the country was either his subject, people ruled by him, or his servant, people working for him. No person, no group, and no institution was allowed to challenge or share power with him. 4. He refused to be influenced by anyone. In earlier times, the Sultan was often influenced or pressured by 2 big groups. 1. The nobility, wealthy landowners, generals and ministers. 2. The ulema, religious scholars of Islam. Alauddin clearly decided these groups will no longer control the Sultan.
5.
He reduced nobles to mere servants. Nobles used to have a lot of power, even acting like mini-kings in their areas. Alauddin ended that. He made nobles like simple workers. The Sultan could hire or fire them anytime. They were not allowed to form political groups or influence government policy. This ended the traditional power of the aristocracy in his court.
6. He ruled with fear and authority.
Aladdin created an environment of awe and fear. No courtier, royal officer, dared to give advice, ask for favours, or oppose him. The only person allowed to speak to him freely was his old friend Al-Mulk, the police chief of Delhi. 7. He stopped the religious leaders, ulema, from controlling the state. In earlier times, religious leaders had power to influence government by saying, "This is Islamic," or "This is not allowed by religion." Alauddin changed that completely. For the first time in Delhi's history, a sultan said, "Religious leaders will not tell the king how to run the country." He separated religion from politics and put the state above religion in governance. In summary, Alauddin Khalji created a very strong, fearless and independent monarchy where he alone ruled the empire. No noble or priest could guide or challenge him. He believed he was chosen by God and smarter than all others. He made himself the only power in the land, like an emperor, and used strictness and fear to make everyone obey him. One-line summary: Alauddin Khalji believed that a sultan must be supreme, answer to no one, and rule with full authority, with nobles and religious leaders reduced to silent followers. Would you like comic strip version of this? Mind map? Notes in bullet form? Let me know. Here is the greatest, deepest, and most detailed summary of Alauddin Khalji's religious policy and theory of kingship, explained in very simple language, perfect for learners of all levels. Alauddin Khalji's religious policy and rule, deep, detailed summary. Alauddin put the state above religion. Alauddin Khalji believed that the king, sultan, should not be controlled by religious scholars, ulema. He said, "I will do what helps the country, even if religious leaders say it's not allowed." For him, the needs of the state, like food, peace, security, were more important than strictly following religious rules in administration. 2. He said his actions were based on logic, not religious law. Alauddin clearly stated, "I don't know if something is lawful or unlawful. I do what is useful and necessary for the state." This means he didn't follow Sharia law in government matters unless it was useful. He ruled with reason, necessity and benefit for the people, not religious texts. He wasn't afraid of religious judgment. He said, "As for the day of judgment, I don't know what will happen." This shows he was bold and focused on the present. He believed helping the country was more important than pleasing religious leaders. He left the afterlife in God's hands.
4.
He was the first sultan to separate religion from politics. Earlier rulers often took advice from ulema or were influenced by them. Alauddin reversed this. He made it clear, religious scholars cannot guide or pressure the king. This was the first step towards making the Delhi Sultanate a secular state, where religion and government were separate. 5. His successors did not continue this policy. After Alauddin's death, future rulers brought back religious control. The state again became a theocracy where ulema had more say, so his bold vision died with him. 6. He still used religion when it helped him in war. Although he stopped ulema from controlling the state, he used religion as a weapon in wars. He encouraged Muslims by calling wars against Hindu chiefs, a fight for Islam. This created emotional support and made Muslim soldiers more loyal and eager to fight. It shows Alauddin was practical. He used religion only when it gave him power. 7. He still remained a practicing Muslim. He never stopped being a Muslim. He prayed, believed in Islamic values, and lived like other Muslim rulers. But he kept religion and ruling separate. Religion was personal life. Politics equals public leadership. 8. He ignored the Khalifa, Islamic Caliph, and did not seek religious blessing. Most Muslim kings asked the Khalifa, Caliph, the religious leader of all Muslims, to approve their rule. Alauddin did not. He ruled without asking for investiture, permission to rule, titles from the Khalifa. This showed he was independent and believed he did not need anyone's approval to be king.
9.
He still used Khalifa's name in his title, only for tradition. Even though he didn't seek real approval from the Khalifa, he added the Khalifa's name to his royal title as a tradition. His title was Taminul Khilafat Nasiri Amirul Muminin, helper of the Caliph, supporter of the faithful. This was symbolic, not real obedience. Final deep summary, in simple words. Alauddin Khalji believed the king should rule with his own wisdom, not be controlled by religion. He made decisions based on what was best for the kingdom, not religious laws. He stopped scholars from interfering in politics, but still followed Islam privately. He used religion when it helped him in wars, but didn't let it rule him. He ruled independently, even ignoring the Khalifa. His policy was brave and new, but didn't last after him.
One powerful line.
Alauddin Khalji ruled as a strong and wise king who believed in power through reason, not religion, a secular thinker in a religious age. Would you like this in comic strip form? Revision flashcards, bullet notes for learning? Just ask. I'll prepare them instantly. Here is a great, deepest, and detailed summary of Alauddin Khalji's policy towards Hindus, written in the simplest words, yet with complete explanation and insight, like the best teacher would explain to someone new to this subject. Detailed summary: Alauddin Khalji's policy towards Hindus. 1. Didn't see Hindus as equal citizens. Although Hindus made up the majority of the population in his kingdom, Alauddin did not treat them equally. He did not feel responsible for their protection or happiness. He saw himself mainly as the king of Muslims, not the king of all people. 2. Harsh treatment was not by accident. It was his fixed belief. Alauddin had a settled ideology, a strong belief that Hindus should be suppressed and kept under control. This was not just temporary or done in anger. It was a planned policy. 3. He took religious advice to support his harsh policy. Alauddin asked Qazi Mughisuddin, a religious scholar, Islamic judge, what rights Hindus should have. The Qazi gave him a very cruel and extreme answer. The Qazi said, Hindus are only allowed to live under Muslim rule if they pay high taxes, called jizya or haraj. If a Hindu is asked to give silver, he should give gold, silently and humbly. Even if they are insulted or physically humiliated, they should accept it without complaint. These acts, the Qazi said, show the glory of Islam, the low status of Hindus, that non-Muslims should be kept obedient and humble. According to most Islamic scholars of the time, Hindus were not even allowed to tax and live. They had to convert or die. Only the Hanifi school of law, which Alauddin followed, allowed Hindus to live if they paid jizya.
4.
Alauddin agreed fully with the Qazi's advice. He had already been treating Hindus in this way. The Qazi's words made him feel more confident that his actions were religiously correct. He felt happy and proud to rule over Hindus with such strictness. 5. What was jizya? Jizya was a special tax that only non-Muslims had to pay. Alauddin forced Hindus to pay high taxes, and they had no say in the matter. These taxes made them poorer, weaker, and easier to control. 6. His treatment was part of a plan to keep Hindus weak and afraid. Alauddin believed that if Hindus were poor from high taxes, afraid from punishments, powerless, no high jobs, They would never rebel. He did not give them any important positions, military jobs, or any kind of respect. 7. He was still a Muslim ruler, but wanted the state to be powerful. Ala-ud-Din did not stop being a Muslim. He still believed in Islam and followed Muslim law, but he did not let religious leaders, ulema, control how he ruled the state. He made it clear, I will do what's best for the state, even if I don't know whether it's lawful or not. 8. He started a kind of early secular government. He separated religion from administration, at least in law. This was a first step towards secular rule, where religion doesn't control government. But this system did not last after his death. Later rulers returned to religious-based rule, theocracy. 9. Hypocrisy in his actions. Even though he wanted the ulema to stay out of politics, he used religion when it helped him. For example, in wars against Hindu kings, he used religious emotions to get Muslim public and soldier support. He stirred up religious passion when needed, especially in battles. 10. Final thoughts. Ala-ud-Din Khalji was a very clever and strategic ruler. He used religion when it helped him. He rejected religious control when it didn't suit him. His treatment of Hindus was systematic, planned, and based on religious backing. He kept Hindus as second-class subjects, controlled by fear, poverty, and strict laws. One-line ultimate summary. Ala-ud-Din Khalji followed a cruel and systematic policy to weaken and control the Hindu population, backed by religious advice and strict laws, making them second-class citizens under his Muslim rule. Would you like a comic strip of this? Comparison with Akbar's Hindu policy? Mind map or bullet note flashcards? Let me know. Happy to create those instantly for better learning.